I am terrible when it comes to this thing. And unfortunately today I am on my own. I'm terrible when it comes to this thing.
Maybe can talk to you.
And unfortunately today I am on my own. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm terrible when it comes to this thing.
Maybe can talk to you.
And unfortunately, just bear with me 1 second. I'm terrible when it comes to this thing.
Maybe can talk to you.
And unfortunately, right. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm terrible when it comes to this thing.
Maybe can talk to you.
And unfortunately, right. Just bear with me 1 second.
An echo.
When it comes.
Elder, can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Yeah, okay, the echo is gone. It was the YouTube making the echo.
I think she was having trouble in...
Right. Sorry, I'm going for a lawyer.
Oh, okay. The lawyer has come?
Yes.
We needed them.
I don't know how to, they cannot, I can't share the screen. I don't know how to go about it. I've tried to contact Victor. Okay, I need to come out and go in again. Where do I go?
Are you using a Mac or are you using
no, just a normal come out from
if you could be having multiple screens, so
or is it this one?
You could will now be okay.
No, leave that. Oh, no question. Right. Finally. Can you hear me?
Can?
Yes, we can.
You can hear me now. Okay. And where is the thing?
We can't see the screen though, yeah, if that's what you're asking.
How do you share screen? Can you see the screen now?
Yes. Yes, we can see the screen.
Amen.
Right, finally. Just bear with me. I used two screens here. Right. Right. I'm using two screens, so if you are not staring directly, I've not been intentional. Please forgive me for all this blip. And hopefully next time I'll learn very well how to do it. Welcome everyone into today's presentation.
We are seeing you have changed into a speaker's slides. Is that what you want?
Speaker slide.
We can basically, if we can see even your notes screen. But that's fine. That's fine. We can see the screen. If that's what it's much better than not seeing it at all. So okay. we are basically seeing as if we are seeing everything as a presenter.
Okay. Right.
But that's fine. That's fine. We have to basically we are seeing two slides in okay. 2 slides. You're in a presenter mode.
Okay, thank you. So we have Yeah, they are recording. That is fine. So we go straight into our presentation. Today is about nutrition. Yes, we've already prayed, and bear with me if that is what I have here. Sorry, this is not what I want. Okay, this is not what I want. This is not what this is not the slide.
Close it then.
How do
Okay, and then start to move on.
this is not the slide.
Okay. If you so. Oh no, it's going to stop.
Nutrition.
Open shape for the bill. Near over better for the bill be and so we are not on there too.
Oh, I can. Good. Finally, I've got what I'm looking for. Sorry about that. I think I've shared. Can you see it?
So we can.
Good.
Yes.
So yes, so today it's about nutrition. And when we talk of nutrition, as you all know, it's what we eat. I'm not trying to be biased to say only plant-based food, that is the only nutrition that we can have. There are so many variety of nutrients that we need, and we can get them from various types of foods. As you can see, the first image tells us where we can get all those foods from. Right. Moving on, I will read something. God's physicians. It says pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, which is the same as temperance or moderation, rest, exercise, proper diet, the uses of water, trust in divine power. These are the true remedies. Every person should have a knowledge of nature's remedial agencies and how to apply them. So there are 8 different types of doctors that God uses. Today, we will tackle onto the nutrition or a diet. Then we will progress into all the other bits when we get some time. Psalm 104 verse 14 says, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herbs for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. So as humans, God gave us all the stuff that we need, including herbs. And so herbs is part of our nutrition, leaves and tubers and all of that we can think of. There are different types of nutrients. We have macronutrients. When we say macro, which means something which is big. And then we have micro, which is something which is small. Sometimes when you've got anemia, the doctor might say you've got macrocytic anemia, which means your red blood cells are they are big. Or microcytic anemia, which means the red blood cells, they are small. And each one of them tells a different story where the anemia is coming from. So when we say big, it means, or macro, big, micro, small. When we eat, we should be able to assimilate it. We should be able to absorb it. If you eat and you are not able to absorb it, there is no point. For me, it's just a bit of waste of time and energy using to chew the food or swallowing it if you are not able to absorb it. There are different types of macro nutrients. We have carbohydrates, proteins, and then we have fiber. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fiber. Recently, carbohydrates have attracted such a bad name. Everybody wants to reduce their carbs. And now many people are going into proteins, ketone diets, and all of that. If you are constipated, you are told, can you increase your fiber intake? So it seems we are familiar when it comes to nutrients. Under the carbohydrates, we have different types. We have simple carbohydrates, and then we have the complex one. The simple ones are just maybe two molecules joined together, or just one molecule, such as glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose. All of these are simple. And then we have the complex one, which are starch, and we also have fiber and glycogen. These are complex carbohydrates. And then as we go on, we will see the reason behind it and be able to choose which type of carbohydrates we are going to eat. Before we move on, our body runs on carbohydrates as fuel. That is the clean fuel that the body uses. So glucose, that is what we burn, especially our brain. We need glucose for the brain to function well. If the brain doesn't have enough glucose and there is ketones available, it might make good use of it. Diabetics will tell you, whenever their blood sugar is very low, they become a bit dizzy, and sometimes they can faint, and they can even go to coma. The reason being there is not enough glucose going into their brain. That is the main reason behind it. So we need glucose for us to function, but we need glucose in its proper form. As we continue, we will get to understand it. Right, we are going to talk about starch. We all know starch. If you eat cassava, you are familiar with starch. If you eat potatoes, you are familiar with starch. But we also have them in beans, lentils, and all the other plant-based foods. When we talk of starch, we have two different types of starch. This is extremely important if you are diabetic. We have amylose and we have amylopectin. If you look at it, the amylose come in just a simple chain. The amylopectin has branches. So when we eat the simple chain, let's assume you are holding a simple chain and you are chopping them bit by bit. You use your scissors, you chop it here, you come back, you chop, you come back, you chop it. If you have a lot of branches and you are chopping through, it's easier. You just go straight and then you can take a whole lot. That is how digestion of starch also happens when we eat. If you eat foods that have amylose, it is slow to releasing the sugars because of the way it is chopped or it is digested. So diabetics will do very well if they eat foods that have amylose rather than amylopectin, because amylopectin will raise the blood sugar. When the blood sugar raises, your insulin will also raise. And then you will have this cascade of insulin. And then it will crush you. It will take all the sugars from the blood. And then you realize that you've eaten not long ago, but you are hungry again because of the insulin surge. And remember, when we did atherosclerosis, we mentioned that insulin causes inflammation in the blood vessels. So you don't want a situation whereby every now and then your insulin surges. You want a steady production of insulin. And so amylose will help you if you want to do that. And we find those amylose in foods such as lentils, beans, kidney beans, black-eyed beans, chickpeas, and all of those things. It also has a lot of protein in them. And also you can have some minerals as well, and other nutrients. But the sugar or the glucose is a bit minimal, and the way you receive them is a bit steady. It's a bit slow for the digestion. Then we talk about the complex carbohydrates. Again, we are talking about fiber. Fiber, we get it from plants. You can use them, normally we use them to make clothing and all of that. It is fiber. When we eat apple, the skin is fiber. When you are eating something like potatoes, the skin, you get fiber in it. We have soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. The insoluble fiber are the one that actually gives you the bulking agents, so that's when you eat, the digestion takes place, you will be able to pass those that you don't need through the other end. The insoluble fiber goes into the bloodstream, and it actually helps for inflammation. Fiber also protects our guts from forming colon cancer. So individuals who do not have enough fiber in their diet, they are prone to have colon cancer. Whole grain foods such as fruits, vegetables, peas, beans, and pulses, nuts and seeds, we get fibers from them. As I mentioned earlier on, it says dietary fiber has inverse effect on colorectal cancers. If you don't eat a lot of fiber, you are on a fast track for colorectal cancer. I remember one time I was with my supervisor, a gentleman below 40, I think he was about 36. He'd been having problem with his stomach pains and discomfort. So he came for colonoscopy. And when we were done, the consultant said to him, you are on a fast track for having colon cancer, so you better be careful of what you are eating. And even me, who was very new, and though I have observed, by that time I've observed, let's say about 30, 40 people with, endoscopy, I could tell before even the consultant met, I could tell that this guy's colon is very sick. It doesn't look healthy at all. And he was only in his 36, 37. And when we discussed with him, he lives on fast foods, McDonald's, KFCs, and things like that. He really doesn't. He doesn't even remember the last time he cooked a meal and ate from home. So eating fiber food actually protects our bodies. Amylopectin, I have said it, it gives you a lot of sugar within a short period of time. We get them from yam, potatoes, rice, and all of those other foods. Right. At this point, I would like to tell you a little bit about gluten. We find gluten in bread or wheat. There are other few products that we can find gluten in. Spelt has a bit of gluten in it. Spelt is considered to be ancient grain. And so the gluten in it is a very weak, so our body can tolerate it. But many people have a gluten intolerance. When you eat it, it's not going to make your belly hurt or anything. But what happens is that the gluten that is in the bread or in the pastas these days, they are hybridized gluten. And so our body is not able to digest it properly. And unfortunately, when it gets into the guts, it's able to trigger inflammation. And so the gut cells will open up and the gluten will get into the blood system. When it gets in, it can cause asthma, it can cause eczema. And many people, it can also cause leaky guts and also lead to leaky brain. So gluten is very, very crucial to our diet. And now these days we find it everywhere in the diet, of which if you are sensitive to it, you will do well to monitor or pay particular attention of what you are eating. I'm reading from a research from Dr. William Davis. He's the one who wrote the book, A Wheat Belly. He says, the high yield plants in a distant relative of the wheat our mothers used to bake muffins, genetically and biochemically light years removed from wheat of just 40 years ago. Why is he saying this? Back in 1950s or whatever, the whole world, there was a famine, there was an issue. And so there's a gentleman, Bog, who decided to hybridize the wheat so that we can have a huge harvest and calm the world hunger. And so he did. And eventually, yes, there's a huge harvest. He won a Nobel Prize for it. But recently, what has been discovered is that after that, they recognized around the same time when the wheat became popular, the hybridized one, they came around the same time, high caloric intake, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, respiratory issues, and food allergies was seen. So many of the allergies that people suffer from, they come at a piggyback of gluten. Unfortunately, when we do the test, it might not show, but you realize that you are allergic to this, you are allergic to this, you are allergic to this, all because gluten has set the stage for it. So if you have so many allergies, you better look into your gluten, and you realize that once you go gluten-free, things, your conditions improve. If it doesn't, then you know that it's not gluten which is causing the issue. We will move on to another complex carbohydrate, which is glycogen. Glycogen, we get it from animal products. So when we are eating the chicken, the steak, whatever, that is where we get glycogen from. And when we also eat a lot of carbs, the excess one that the body cannot use, our liver converts it into glycogen and store it for us for later or rainy days. But the problem comes if I'm always eating, my liver continues to store and store and store and store. And it gets to a point that it has to convert it into fats and keep it for the later days. And then I'm not using it. So it keeps on storing for me for later days. So taking a lot of carbohydrates actually makes our liver produce more glycogen and then convert more into fats and store it in our fatty tissues for us. If we don't give ourselves time for our body to clear itself, then it will continue to pile them on for us. Another time when the body produces so much fat is when we are exposed to a lot of toxins. Body makes fat to protect our cells from the toxins. And so it makes the fats and seal them and pack them nicely so that at a later stage, when you have time to clear yourself or the detox, then it will be able to clear it nicely for you. Normally, I don't think I've mentioned this, when you face a lion, even if you haven't eaten in the morning, let's say you haven't eaten in the morning all the way to the afternoon and you face a lion, the energy you will get to run is unbelievable. Why? Because your liver stores the glycogen, stores them in the muscles, stores them in the liver, and then release them whenever you need it. And when you are fasting, it also helps. One thing that I came across, not on this lectures, I didn't add it to it, was when you fast, your glycogen actually triggers your body to detox. You know, naturally, our body is able to, God has made it that it should be able to detox itself. So it should be able to detox itself through the skin, through the colon, the liver, through the kidneys, and also through the breath. And so when you are fasting, the glycogen triggers this action to take place. Right, monosaccharides, we've talked about it. We get them from fruits, vegetables. We get fructose from fruits, vegetables, natural sweetness. We get all of that. And galactose, you can see glucose. We all know where we get them from. And it's complex carbohydrate that is breakdown into all these smaller molecules that our body can use. What about milk? Lactose. It's a simple sugar found naturally in milk of most mammals. But unfortunately, especially if you take the Black community, Africans, Afro-Americans, Asians, we haven't been exposed to milk and for a long time. It's only recently, maybe a 50 or whatever, 100 years ago. But if you compare to the Europeans, they have been drinking milk for eons, for a number of years before us. When you take milk, your body uses an enzyme called lactase to break it. Children have lactase to break milk, but as they wean, the lactase production, the body's producing lactase reduces. And so you don't have enough lactase, especially for the Black Afro-Americans and all of that. Eventually, it's like your lactase doesn't exist. So when you take milk, it is difficult for you to be able to digest it. And so many of us, after milk, you recognize that you are bloated and you feel uncomfortable. That is where it is coming from. Plus, if it is cow's milk, there is a protein in it called casein, which we do not have the enzyme to digest, to unravel it. And so our body will have to dump it somewhere. So many children will develop eczema, all because of the casein or the cow's milk that they have ingested. Most Africans, about 75 to 95% of us, we have intolerance to lactose. African Americans, the same, and then the Asians, the same. But when you take the Europeans, only few, about 18 to only 26% suffer from it. Symptoms of lactose intolerance, I think I mentioned a few. Fermented by gut microbes, fermentation release short-chain fatty acids. And so you get bloated, and then before you know, you are creating explosive materials. The tummy will be distended, bloating, and sometimes for Black people, it will be diarrhea. For the white children, it will be constipation. And as I mentioned, it can also lead to eczema, asthma, and if you are very, very allergic to it, anaphylaxis can happen. Now we move on to protein. There are different types of amino acids come together to form protein. There are essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. The essential ones, we need them, but we are able to get them from food. The non-essential ones, body cannot manufacture them. But the essential ones, the body is able to use what we have eaten and is able to make it for us. We have 21 amino acids, and it comes out to make proteins. All these structures, the one over here, hemoglobin, we have, when we talk of antibody, that is what it looks like. What is the importance of proteins? Protein is huge when it comes to repair and for growth. So we need protein in our bodies. The enzymes in our bodies are made of protein. Neurotransmitters, they are proteins. Antibodies, carriers, hormones, they are all made of proteins. And so we really, really, really need proteins in our bodies. Our DNA, we need proteins for it. Digestion, we need protein for it. So where do we get it from? Yes, you can get it from animal source. So fish, eggs, cheese, name it. You can get fish, you can get proteins from them. But there's one particular product that I want to mention. Whilst we are consuming it because we get protein from it, there are other things that we need to be also aware of. And that is chicken and eggs. I'm not saying stop eating your chicken. I'm not saying stop eating your eggs. What I'm trying to say is that be responsible of what you are eating. It is well known that chicken and eggs, they are the main sources of arachidonic acid. This arachidonic acid also promotes inflammation in the body. So the more of it that I eat, the more there's going to be inflammatory processes in the body, because you get a lot of omega-6, and omega-6 promotes inflammation in the skin. There's a study in Israel which says that although our body requires arachidonic acid, consuming too much of it could be problematic. Israel, one of the countries with the highest level of arachidonic acid, has high prevalence rates of atherosclerosis, diabetes, obesity, and hypertension. There are other sources of plant-based proteins. If we, as I said, protein is very crucial. Therefore, we need them. If eating chicken, eggs, and all of that also comes with a different package, which I don't like, then I need to look for alternative source. And the plant-based gives us that alternative. You can have protein in basically most of the plants. You get them from chickpeas, edamame beans, quinoa. 50% of quinoa is protein. You get them from beans, kidney beans, you get them from nuts and all of that. In fact, every plant that we eat, even a leaf, has a protein, and we will get to know it. And it's a little bit funny. One time I did this presentation and someone asked, oh, you know, without animal products, we will never, where can we get our protein from? And my question was that, where does elephants and giraffe, where do they get their proteins from? They are herbivores. They don't eat meat, but they are huge, big. And so that one is not an excuse that, okay, if I don't eat animal protein, I'm not going to get protein. It's about what we are eating. And the combination also counts as well. These are plant cell and animal cell. The reason why I'm showing this is that everything that we do, it is just the cells that have been put together to make food for us. So if you take animals, we will have all the cells has a bilayer that protects it. The blue bits that you see, these are proteins, channel proteins, peripheral proteins. These are animal products that you get proteins from. Look at the plants, integral protein, peripheral proteins, cytoplasm. You get proteins in the plant cells as well. So we really do not only have to eat animal protein products to get our proteins. Difference between animal protein and plant protein. Animal protein is complete. You will have all the essential amino acids. Plant protein is not complete. You will have to add about 2 or 3 different types to get foods together to have a complete protein. That is why it is advisable, if you are going to eat grains, at least, let's say you are making a porridge, you are not going to make only oats. You can take oats, you can add buckwheat to it, and you can add rye to it. Or you can add quinoa to it. By doing so, you've got your complete protein. Or you can just do only 2, and then you can add maybe nuts or seeds to it, or you can add some fruits to it. You can get your full complete protein like that. Need less to meet protein requirements, just a tiny bit, and then all that you need, the animal protein, you've got it. For plant-based, you need to eat a combination to get it, as I mentioned. The animal protein easier to digest than the plant proteins. The plant proteins, the reason being, you have to chew. And then the rest, it has to go down and then feed a good bacteria, so you don't consume everything. God has made it that way. Animal protein contain high levels of saturated fat and cholesterol. Plant protein, lower level of saturated fat and cholesterol. Animal protein is generally high in sulfur-containing amino acids. Plant protein contain low sulfur-containing amino acids. Animal protein leads to higher dietary acid load. Plant protein leads to dietary base load. We will come to this. You see, in our blood, it is regulated very tightly when it comes to the pH. The blood pH is between 7.35 to 7.45. If you go above 7.45, you go into alkalosis. The doctors will be running here and there. If it is you go below 7.35 acidosis, the doctors will be running here and there. That is why normally when we are very unwell, they do the ABG. They put a needle in the wrist to take the blood, go and check for the pH. It is regulated very tightly. But unfortunately, animal protein leads to high dietary acid load. So many of us, we are walking about and our acid level is too high, which means our body is not able to function very well. If it tips around each other way, it's not going to function very well. A 2014 analysis of the diets and kidney function of more than 12,000 Americans found that a higher dietary acid load was associated with significantly higher risk of protein leakage into the urine, an indicator of kidney damage. Many people blow their kidneys, one because they don't drink enough water, another one because they eat a lot of animal proteins. Blood pH, as I mentioned, in our body, the only place that should be very acidic is in the stomach. In the stomach, the enzymes break down the food, so it needs to be acidic. We have hydrochloric acid in our stomach. If the acid is not acidic enough, some of the food will not be processed or digested properly, and it will not be absorbed. For instance, if you want to absorb B12 vitamin, you will need intrinsic factor for it to be released in the stomach to bind into the B12 that you have eaten, and then it travels down to the colon and then it splits for you to get the B12. If you don't have, your stomach is not acidic enough, it will not release the intrinsic factor. Therefore, you might be taking B12 supplements or you are eating very well, and yes, so you will have B12 deficiency. Many people are deficient in B12. Many, they have to get injection for it. And some of it might be because they suffer from acid reflux, and because of that, they rely on PPI, Gaviscon, omeprazole, and things like that, which dumps the acid level, and therefore some of the nutrients you are not able to absorb it properly. We move on to fats. We have saturated fats, trans fats, unsaturated fats. The middle one, As you can see, it says stop. Saturated fats, we get them from coconut oil, palm kernel oil. The animal ones, you get them from lard, butter, ghee, cream, cheese, whole milk. Coconut oil is fantastic oil. It's very good for the protein. As I mentioned earlier on, that it has ketone, light chain fatty acid. So when you are struggling with glucose, you can take coconut oil and straight away it will go into the brain, and it will serve as energy for the brain. In fact, coconut oil doesn't go through the whole digestion process. Once you eat it, it's quickly absorbed into the bloodstream. Unsaturated fats, that is when you leave it, it's in a room temperature, it's runny. You get them from seeds, you get them from nuts. But I have a little bit of concern. As a child, it was so easy, you can make, or even now, you can quickly make palm oil. You can make coconut oil in my kitchen. But how do I make corn oil? I don't know. So all these other oils, that is not, you cannot really make it. It's not easy to make it. You need a certain chemicals, you need a certain machinery before you can do it. You would do well to stay away from it, because you don't know the processes that have gone. And unfortunately, some of them, they have to hydrolyze them so that it can stay runny, of which is not good for our body. Olive oil, you can make them. Peanuts, you can make them. Sesame oil, you can make them. Avocado, easy to make. So oils that are easy to make, those are your go-to. Mono and polyfats are essential. Our body doesn't produce them, so we have to eat them. But for the saturated ones, our body doesn't need it, because they can use the mono and the poly to make the saturated ones. Oil is very important. If you are deficient, your brain is not going to function well. It helps, it would decrease brain function and poor brain health, and also hormonal imbalance, because most of the hormones, they also need fats for it to work, apart from the proteins. Someone said, unlike other fats, trans fats are neither required nor beneficial for health. Sometimes the good oils that we have, we can also make it trans. Let's face it, you use, let's pick a good oil, let's say olive oil. You use it to fry chicken. And as you continue to heat it, it becomes trans. It hydrolyzes. It's oxidized. And so it's good as, the bad fats that we know. Vitamins and minerals, these are the micronutrients that we need. These are the tiny, tiny ones. I've picked only few, only B12, I've talked about it. If you don't have enough, you can have macrocytic anemia. So your red blood cells will be big, and you realize that you walk a little bit distance and you are very tired. We need B12 for immune function. Zinc is extremely important. We need zinc for our body to function. Your immune system needs zinc, especially for men, they really need zinc. We get them from food, and if you are not getting enough, then you'll be better off to take some supplements. You can have zinc depletion or zinc deficiency. And this is what has been found for individuals with zinc deficiency. It says low intake, whether you are not eating enough of zinc, or you watch a lot of pornography, or you masturbate, and excessive sexual intercourse. These are the main, it says, in sexual active adolescents and promiscuous adults, the greatest zinc loss is in sexual fluids. So many people with the loss of zinc, they can break out into acne and all of that, because it works on the immune system as well. So it's better if we look into our zinc intake. One thing that really caught my attention when I was putting it together, it says it is even possible. It was written by David Harrobin, Oxford University. It says it is even possible, given the importance of zinc for the brain, that 19th century moralists were correct when they said that repeated masturbation could make one mad. Why? Because you lose a lot of zinc. In a zinc deficient adolescent, sexual excitement and excessive masturbation might precipitate insanity. So whilst we need to eat to replenish all these things, we have to be careful not to get rid of it through other means, whereby or use it excessively, that we can become deficient, and then it will work against us. Micronutrients are essential. Vitamin C is important for wound healing. Zinc deficiency can lead to immune dysfunction and distorted sense of taste. So if you taste something and you think, you know, it's not that the thing is rotten, but it doesn't taste nice, it might be because you are zinc deficient. And so you need to go, take some few supplements. And selenium deficiency can lead to cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy, whereby the heart becomes weak and floppy. It doesn't pump well because you don't have enough selenium. So you see, all these, they are micronutrients, but they are huge. They are very, very important for our health. Common wrong habits of eating. Common wrong habits of eating. So we've looked at the nutrients, both the macro and the micro. Now we've got the food. How do we eat? Chosen by the Creator, better diets such as grain, fruits, nuts, and vegetables. This is the original diet that we were given. Something warm into the stomach every morning, but not hot. In the morning, let us drink something warm. It kickstarts the digestive system, and then before you know, you are invited to the loo. No heavy seasoning when we are cooking. Prepare food in a simple and natural manner as possible. Refrain from rich and luxurious food. Do not eat fruit and vegetables at the same meal. Why? Because fruits, they digest quickly. Vegetables takes time. If you combine them, what happens that the fruit will be digested and sitting down waiting for the vegetables, and eventually it will ferment. So you realize that you haven't drunk any alcohol, but you are so tired, and then you cannot think straight. Fresh food should not be eaten very hot or cold. Food should not be eaten very hot or cold. You see, in our body, it has a very tight temperature as well. And so if you eat very hot food, it doesn't help. It puts pressure on the body. If it is too cold, your body needs to warm it up before it can use it. Do not eat between meals. Stop snacking. Some of us, we say we eat 2 courses of meal, but in between, maybe snacking here and there, about 3 or 4 times of snacks. It doesn't help. By the time you eat your main meal, the digestive juices, you have consumed it because of snacking. So you realize that you finish your food and the food stays in your stomach for too long because it doesn't have the juices to digest it. The last one says, avoid any adulterated substances. That is additives, glutamine, aspartame, and stuff like that. Maybe one of these days we might look into it. Common wrong habits of eating. Do not crowd into the stomach great variety of food at one meal. You know, you've gone to a party, there are about 40 different types of foods, especially when the Ghanaians are doing their stuff, or the Nigerians. Lot of food, and you want to eat every single one of it. Don't do that. you are making your stomach confused. Take time to eat. You know, when we are eating, let us really sit down, take time, chew the food, eat it properly. Eat more solid, less liquid. Many of us, we are prone to liquid foods. And so when we eat solids, we don't feel comfortable. Our body needs solid food. The reason why you need solid is that the solid, once it gets there, you have the digestive juices, it will mix it up and it will digest it. If it is liquid, the excess water, your body has to drain it before the digestion takes place. That is why we advise not to drink whilst we are eating. It dilutes the digestive juice. And mind you, we've mentioned that it has to be acidic. So when you add water to it, it's going to dilute it. Overeating. Temperate in eating, eat sparingly, even of plain food. So even if the food is so healthy, overeating puts pressure on our bodies. Another one that I would say, cheerfulness and laughter stimulate production of catechins, which trigger release of endorphins, which are natural painkillers. So we need to be cheerful. So imagine you are eating and you are cheerful, you know, it helps, and even it serves as a painkiller. After a meal, no violent exercise right after a meal. No studying right after a meal. When you, after the moment you finish eating, much of the blood is poured into the stomach for digestion. So imagine if you finish eating and then you grab a book you are reading, or you are doing your assignment or whatever. What you are doing is that you've divided the attention of the body, and so digestion will take long because much of the blood has been also called to the brain. There are vitamins as destroyers, foods that destroy vitamins. Coffee, smoking, alcohol, artificial sweets or sweetness, chlorine in drinking water, fluoride, and then air pollution and such things all destroy vitamins. We are almost done. Common wrong habit of eating, barging the food. We want to go, so we quickly barge the food down. It doesn't help. We have been told or been advised when we read counsels on health. If you are in a hurry, don't eat. If you are too excited, don't eat. Wait till appropriate time and then you can eat. The last bit is modern day altar of sacrifice. Many people of us, we are sacrificing our lives on the modern day altar, which is food, appetite. The stuff that we are eating, I've given a little bit of example. They doesn't really help us. They don't help us. Actually, they suck energy from us. And as Christians, what I would say is that someone said, we cannot continue to do that and the body will not respond. There come a time the body will scream at us because of the burden that we have put on it. I remember there was a gentleman who came to see me because her daughter, about 2-year-old, they were eating and she woke up in the night throwing and abdomen pain and had a fever. And so I asked, what did she eat? Oh, we all had a pizza. So I said, why would you give 2-year-old a pizza to eat? But we all ate it. And nothing happens to her, it's only her. And I said, because she's a child, she's not supposed to eat, cheese takes about 10 hours to digest. And giving a 2-year-old cheese to eat, I don't know how much he ate, but that will not sit well with the stomach. So we also have to, having said all of this, we also have to listen to our body, even the healthy food. Some of us, your body might not agree to it. So the fact that everybody is eating broccoli and you eat broccoli and you are throwing out, it doesn't mean that everybody says it's healthy, so you are going to eat it. Let us eat foods which are easy to digest and also which our body wants, not because others are saying it's good. That is why we are going for it. We come to the end of the presentation. Maybe one of these days we will continue with all the others, or I'll say on 30th, we will continue with all the others. Thank you for listening. I will leave it to the group and I will take a few questions and answers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sister Eunice. This was a very, very necessary presentation because we all fall victims into what you are saying, and we are indeed what we eat. Unless we eat well, then we'll have a problem. Thank you very much. This time is the time before we have questions and answers. Please, maybe on the chat group, put your number, because apart from as I told you, Eunice does run a healthy clinic, a lifestyle clinic, lifestyle and herbal clinic at Newbold. But you can always get access to our website and you can always talk. So if you put your number, oh, your number is already there. Actually, your number is there. Thank you very much. Your number is there and the website is there and the email is there. You can copy it and be able to use it at any time you want. That's exactly what I was looking for. So at this time, any question, before we pray? You can just unmute yourself, and we want to welcome those who came in late. I want to say this has been recorded. It will be on YouTube. We'll have a YouTube link just in case you missed. But please, in 5 minutes, let's have any question, any comments.
My hand is up. Is it because it's black or you can't see me? Oh.
What we need to do is to ask Eunice to remove the presentation, stop the presentation so you can see.
On share, is it?
What do you call it again? Stop sharing.
Have I stopped sharing?
No, it's still there.
My hand is up.
I can stop it for you.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. The one whose hand is up, please ask or comment.
Good evening, all. Thanks for the presentation. This is really nice, and thanks for inviting me. Doctor, Mrs. Doctor, why do I always get heartburns, especially in the evening and sometimes when I'm sleeping? Why do I get heartburns?
Okay, so there are two main things that can cause a heartburn. One of them is if your stomach fluid is not acidic enough to digest the food. So what we have noticed that individuals who get a heartburn, acid reflux before they eat a meal, they can just have a squeeze of lemon, half a lemon, and drink it, and then before they eat, it helps. Some use cayenne pepper, which stimulates your stomach to release more of the acid, the hydrochloric acid. Some takes apple cider vinegar, it helps it. Another one is that if you eat fatty food, it's not the stomach acid that is causing it. It is the bowel. Because when you eat fatty food, it has to go and the bowel will be produced to emulsify it to break down the fats. So if you've eaten a fatty food, the bowel will box up into the stomach instead of going the other way around. It will box up, and what will happen is that you will get that feeling, the burning sensation. But mind you, bowel also can burn, that burning sensation. Or you ate not long ago and then you go to bed. These are the main. So look into what I've said. Look into that if you eat at least 3 hours before you go to bed. And it has to be light food. easy to digest. Does it answer your question?
It does, doctor, but I'm African. We eat after eating, go to bed. That's English. That's in English. When we grew up like that, with eating katogo. After eating that katogo, you go to bed, and we used to be okay. Is it? Is
That's
this?
why
Is this
you
become?
have that. That's
Yeah,
why
All
you
right,
have
so
Is
I
this become?
understand
Is
that.
it because? Is it because I'm getting old? Because when I was
No.
young, I never used to have it.
No, because your body is tired of you doing that to it. And there come at times your body will scream.
it's an old car.
That is what it's doing to you. But change the habits, and you will get improvement.
Thank you. Any other question or comment?
Their hands,
On their hands, Afua. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hello, Sister Eunice. Good evening.
Good evening.
You mentioned like sometimes using good oils can make it trans. So does it mean if you use coconut oil, if you use coconut oil to fry anything, it becomes trans?
Yes. Coconut oil, you really don't need to use it to fry anything. It quickly breaks. The more you heat oil, the more you lose its nutrients. It gets oxidized.
So assuming you are making maybe a pot of stew and you need to fry your onions, you can't use coconut oil.
Coconut oil boiling, the point is very low. And so in that case, you'll be better off with olive oil. But even that, you don't have to cook it, because at least I'm a Ghanaian, I understand the jollof rice, that everybody's now happy, everybody's eating jollof rice. I have learned not to love jollof rice anymore, because by the time the rice is done, it is dead. We cook it to the point that, you get no value out of it, apart from the fats and the rice, the carbohydrates. So good oil, normally, the Mediterraneans, they will cook with not much oil, and then they will use drizzle it on a salad or on the food, and then they eat it. The more you cook oil, you lose its benefits. But unfortunately, in Africa, we cook a lot with oil, and it hasn't helped us. So no wonder high blood pressure and diabetes, we are battling with it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. My wife would say. Sorry.
There is a hand, blessed, simply blessed. I think I put a hand. If you speak, please, if you can put your hand so there is order.
Okay. Can I still talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blessed.
My wife. Sorry.
Peterson, we have to have order. So stay blessed. We'll hide the hand up. So let's go with the hand.
Penny.
Yes.
I don't know. Just hold on. Simply blessed. Penny. There's Penny who put her hand up.
Yes, I did, Uncle.
Yes, please go ahead, Penny.
Yeah, my question was still also, thank you, Eunice. My question was regarding the acid reflux.
Mhm.
I've, as much as I can, I've tried to follow everything you've said in there.
Mhm.
I still, even in the morning, before I eat, I take anything, I get acid reflux, a bitter thing. I sometimes force myself to throw up to get that bitterness out of my system. I'm taking lansoprazole or something almost on a daily basis, and I'm getting tired over the acid reflux. I don't know if there's any way I can get rid of the issue totally.
Okay, so whilst you are I mentioned you can take lemon, you can take apple cider vinegar. You are doing it, and you are also taking the lansoprazole.
So if I do take lemon in the morning, lansoprazole, I'll take it the last thing of the night.
And as you know, lansoprazole, it stays in the system for quite a long time.
Yes.
And so you are canceling each other. What you can do is that eat very simple diets. When I mean simple, easy digestible diets, and use the lemon and the apple cider vinegar to build it up, the acid up, before you start moving back into, your usual meals. But even that, you might be careful not to eat till you are full.
Right.
Somehow we need to leave a room, because whilst you've taken the lansoprazole or when the food is too much, the juices come, it backs up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the sphincter, it doesn't close properly. We call the sphincter, where it has to close after food. It closes tightly. Eventually, it gets weak. As you suffer from acid reflux for a long time, the sphincter gets weak.
Right.
It means you need to reduce the amount of food you are eating and allow the body to repair itself.
And are there some foods that make it worse than others? Like, for instance, I can't touch an apple, some spinach. Sometimes I drink spinach, and the moment I put it down, I get the acid reflux goes way.
Right. I think my last point, I mentioned that we are all different. The fact that somebody might say spinach is good doesn't mean it's good for you.
Okay.
Personally, tomatoes will set me on, especially if I eat tomatoes today and maybe tomorrow I eat it again, I will get acid reflux, regardless of whatever I've eaten.
Okay.
So knowing myself, I have to space it out.
Okay.
And so listen to your body. It will tell you what it wants and what it doesn't want.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay. Does that simple breast? Is that Jonathan? Can you see Jonathan? Can you see any other hands up? Otherwise, a simple breast, please. Your tongue.
I was forced to put my hand down. I'm not happy. Anyway, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yes.
Yeah, my wife was suggesting, as she's listening with me as well. Is it rapeseed oil is good as well? Doctor, can you comment on that, please? Is it rapeseed?
Grapeseed oil.
Rapeseed oil.
Rapeseed oil.
Yeah.
How is it made?
Oh, I'm not an industrialist. I don't know.
Okay. So if you take cocoa butter, if you take shea butter, if you take all those simple ones, it's easier to make. All the other ones that I say you cannot make them in your kitchen. Ask yourself, how did they extract it? And we all eat grapes or raspberries or whatever it is. Are you able to extract oils from it?
So, Doc, you're saying that you can have oil you can easily make in the kitchen. Is that what you're saying? Homemade.
Yes. Oil that you can easily make it. You don't have to make it, but the oils, let's say olive oil. Those who live in Italy and whatever, they can easily make olive oil. We in the Africa, we can make palm oil. We can make, all the simple oils that we make. Eat the simple ones. That is what I've recently, personally, I have learned. We eat the simple ones, those that it has to go through machinery and extraction and all of that. The chemicals they are using to extract it, I don't know it. Does it answer you?
Thank you very much. Maybe what I'm getting from you is that we should be very careful when we use different oils for our cooking. Or we might use cow ghee. To some people, cow ghee comes out and it's like a cheese, and we use it. Some take it, actually pour it in the food and eat when the food is ready. I think let's be very careful with what we put in our stomachs, and modulate what goes in and what goes out, because some of it, when you react, you should know, I don't need this one. So iPhone, please, we are winding up now. iPhone, your hand is up.
Hi, yes, I just wanted to ask a quick question. I'm of the opinion that the organic pure coconut oil is good for memory. It strengthens the memory. Is that not the case? You know, to take it like adding to cereals, things like that. Shouldn't we be doing that then? It's supposed to help the memory. Shouldn't we be?
Yes, I take MCT, which is coconut oil.
Right.
And I just take, just a spoon and it goes down the arch. Yeah, I do that. It's good for memory.
So,
what I'm saying is that you don't have to cook it. When you cook it, you break it.
Okay. I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very important to know. So some of the oil, like olive oil, you can put on your, just the way it is, you put on your salad. The same thing you can do with your coconut oil. You just put it straight away into the food. It goes into your brain. Thank you very much. Anyone with a burning question before we close? Tony Minor. Yes, brother Tony.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to find out a bit more. You mentioned milk, and I've read a bit about the downside of having cow milk. Do you mind just giving a bit more details about that? And obviously, I know there are substitutes nowadays with different types of milk, soy milk, oat milk. What's the downside of cow milk?
Right. I think cow's milk, I mentioned about the casein, the products in it, the protein casein that we are not able to rub, we are not able to break it. We don't have the enzyme to break it. Cow's milk, baby cows, they have the enzyme to break the casein. Humans, we have the enzyme to break human casein. And so if you are not able to break it down, your body has to dump it somewhere. And those individuals, I didn't add this to it, but areas whereby people drink a lot of cow's milk, there is a high percentage of breast cancers. Many people suffer from earache because eventually it will dump it there. Wherever the body thinks to dump those protein, it will. It can be, as a result, you can have eczema. Some will have even asthma because of the cow's milk. I think I mentioned about my own daughter with eczema, and we have to take her from gluten. We took her from cow's milk. Recently, I am able to spot if he has eaten something than what we have given her. If the eczema flares up on the neck, and then we realize that somebody might have given her chocolate or she's been eating a cake outside. That is my way of knowing that, because after we took ourselves from all of those foods, she's now fine. She doesn't suffer from it anymore. And you would do all sorts of tests, it will not show. Plus the lactose, as I mentioned, most of the blacks, we are intolerant to lactose. And because of that, we would do well to stay away. Thank God now we have varieties: almond milk, hazel milk, soya milk, oats milk, all of them are there. We can substitute it. Cow's milk is for baby cows. But I also understand something, because of certain situation, it might be necessary. But if possible, you have alternatives. You will do yourself a good favor to stay away from it.
Can I add a bit to what Eunice had just said? All right, I want to add a bit to what Eunice had just said. Eunice just mentioned that cow's milk is for baby cows. As human as we are, once we are small and we are breastfeed, we don't go back to the milk anymore. The same thing, even the cow, when they are breastfed and they come out of it, they don't go back to it anymore. But we human beings, as we grow, or even we are little, we go back to this cow milk over and over the years, which it doesn't help us. You see, so even if we use our common sense, that's why the plant-based is there. That is why God actually gave to us for us to eat anyway. So it might be better that we go for the plant-based rather than keep on taking the animals one, which we are not supposed to. All these ones came up, I think, because of shortage of food or something. That's why they made all these things. And in fact, it doesn't help us. So it might be better that we stay away from it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Last one is Sherry.
Yes, Shirley, thank you. Mr. Eunice, what I wanted to ask you, we're talking about spelt flour. I just wanted to ask, how old should your child be for you to start giving them like baking bread with spelt flour for them to eat?
Right. So children, solid food, at least when they are above two and above, they can start eating, solid. But even that, you need to keep an eye. The reason why I'm saying that is that, we know spelt is ancient grain, it is good, but it still has the protein, the glucose, did I say gluten in it? If the child has been introduced to any type of gluten, which is not good, and they have reacted to it, then even if you give the spells, they will react to it. So you just have to keep an eye and be careful on that. Normally, once you have reacted to gluten, all the residues need to come out from the system before you can actually start introducing even spells into the system. Individuals who have even Crohn's and all the other bowel issues, they have to come off completely from any type of gluten, even from spells, until they are properly healed, and then they can introduce it, and even that keep an eye if they don't react to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Eunice. I think what I'm getting from you is that all of us need to watch out and on the kids, on ourselves. What they react on, then we have to move away from it. That's what I'm getting. The very last person, please, Vida Boateng.
Thank you, Sister Eunice. Just a quick one. You did say that this health talk is being streamed on live. What is the name of the website, please? Is that on YouTube?
I think that's what I know.
The Jonathan is still there. Right. I will send it to Eunice and then we'll advise. I think the Jonathan is still there. We'll find out. We'll find out and give you the talk. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone we are saying, yes, me? I think Vida is finished. Original sound, is that now? Okay, everybody's done. I think what last thing I wanted to say before we last prayer, vitamin B12, okay. When it comes to those who are vegetarians, we do suffer a lot from how to get B12. What did you say again about that?
So if you are a vegetarian, then you would do well to take
vegan, vegetarian,
Yeah, you would do well to take vitamin B12 supplements. But even I would say take B complex. The reason being they work synergistically. And so you realize that foliate, B12, B6, whatever, they all work together. And so if you're a vegan or vegetarian, take B12, B complex supplement. The good thing about B vitamins is that it is water soluble. If you get too much, you will just pee it out. It come into the urine. It's not going to cause any harm. It's not fat soluble. So please, vegans, vegetarians, you can take B12 supplement. And whilst you are taking it, then you have to make sure that your stomach acid is good, that is able to digest food properly, so that you can release the intrinsic factor to bind onto it, go to the colon, and then the colon split and then get absorbed.
To thank you so much. I think all of us where we are, we can clap for her. I think you have done very well. I remind you on this forum, then we'll also have on the 30th on the same program. Thank you so much. Before we go, may I say we have enjoyed ourselves. Thank you for everybody who had the singing, those who have attended from everywhere. Although beginning with, sometimes the language was hard to follow. I want to thank everyone for this, especially Eunice who have taken time. This flight, the challenges at the beginning of the slides, but eventually we want to go through. And I want to thank also Jonathan in particular, Elder Jonathan, who recorded it on YouTube. We'll find a way of sharing. I think we'll send it a link to Eunice so that those who I also sent to other forums. So thank you. And before we go, we'll ask Sister Eunice to close in prayer, or your husband if he's close by.
He's busy doing something. Yes, I can pray.
Yes.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this amazing body that you have made for us. We thank you for the lessons that you have given us tonight, for us to take care of these bodies that you have given. Lord, we believe that you have purpose for us. That is why you created us. And so, Lord, whilst we are endeavor to do your biddings, help us that we'll be able to take care of our bodies so that we'll be able to do well in your errands. I pray for my brothers and sisters who joined. If anybody has any health issue, we believe that you are the great physicians. Even if we got those diseases through our own choices, Lord, forgive and may you touch and may you heal.
Amen.
We thank you for answering our prayers, for we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much. Many of us are very happy.
Amen.
We have, I think, really. Please unmute yourself and say hi to Eunice from where you are. Just show your photo. She would love to see Ellie. She would love to see Eliane and many others. Please. We have
Hello,
people
Sister
coming.
Eunice, Keza.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate your presentation. It was very well researched and presented. I can't thank you enough because this is like something to be bought, not just for free. Shouldn't be for free. Thank you so much.
We thank God. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Very well researched. I don't know how long it took to do this research, or it's just your knowledge, what you go through every day. But yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
We thank God. Thank you.
Yes, one question. What is NCT?
Okay, if there's nobody else to say hi, then we call it quits. But thank you very much. You have Eunice's number, you have her website, you also have her email. Please write something or send her a message. Or if you want to see her personally, make an appointment for consultation. May God bless us all. Please take care and God bless you. And have a very good evening.
Bye.